Hello, today I'm going to do a follow-up of the video entitled Fuck Money, so if you haven't seen that I would advise watching it first. In Fuck Money I basically talk about how I believe that it is possible to have a world without a financial system. Now I must admit, with the way things work today, that world is very difficult to comprehend. How will we buy stuff? How will we swap services? What incentive would people have to go to work? In this video I'm going to try and explain my no money world vision so you guys can rip it as shit and call me a dickhead and I'll say yeah, fair enough, sorry I took far too much acid back in the day. So without further ado, let me try and explain. In order for my system to work, we would all need to massively change our mindsets. There has to be a strong desire to want everybody to be living a happy life without suffering, not one human being excluded. My system does not allow for selfish arseholes, and to be honest, that's probably the main reason why it will never work. There's a lot of arseholes floating about. So, if I was in charge of the world, this is the first thing that I would do. I would introduce a minimum standard of life. This would mean that whatever job you did, as long as you contributed to society, you would be entitled to the minimum standard of life. You're probably thinking, what's the difference between the minimum standard of life and the minimum wage? The difference is, the minimum standard of life does not suck balls. In today's world, you work your arse off just so you can constantly worry about making ends meet. Payday loans exist so hard-working people can borrow money at ridiculous interest rates just to get by. Surely working a job should be enough. In my system, if you contribute to society, you will not be paid in money, you will be entitled to the minimum standard of life. You get a decent place to live with a lovely little garden, you get a good car, you get all the latest technology, you get access to the internet, you get proper food, water, gas, electricity. If you need some new clothes or a new hat, there you go mate, stick that on your head. When you have time off, travel is free. If you want to go to Australia and see a kangaroo, just book a flight and get on the next plane. The best thing about the minimum standard of life is that you will never have to worry about going without or paying the rent ever again. Jeremy Kyle was always shouting at people, get a job, and I always think to myself, I'd like to see you get one of those jobs, Jeremy, just so you can't afford fuck all anyway. If working entitled you to the minimum standard of life, everybody would want to work because the stress-free life you would get would be worth the time and effort. This would result in a drastic decline in unemployment and homelessness. And if more people were working, the workload would be shared amongst more people, meaning less working hours. There are always things that need to be done in order to make the world a better place, even if it's just painting a shitty wall that's making a city look crap. The reason these things are not getting done is because nobody's paying somebody to do it. In my system, I will draw up a list of all the things that need to be done, and one by one, the people living the minimum standard of life will get it done. Eventually, all the towns and cities will look beautiful. My system would eradicate poverty because there is no need for it. There are enough resources for everyone, and there are enough jobs for people to be getting on with. The problem is, in today's world, there's not enough money to make things happen, but like I've said before, money voids common sense. Poverty is no accident, it's design. The rich and powerful get a boner watching us squirm. They want to feel as if they're better than us. They want us desperately slaving away so we haven't got time to stop, think, look around and think, does the world really have to be like this? There is another way, they just don't want us to realise. My world would hardly have any crime because why would people need to commit crime if they could earn an amazing life from doing a fair amount of honest work? The reason there's so much crime is because crime pays, it gives you a bit of the good life. But if being a decent human being did that as well, then surely that would be the better option. Another example of how the current system lacks common sense is that whenever I turn on the news, someone is telling me that we need more doctors or nurses, but we can't afford them. Think about it, how silly is that? In my system, I would work out how many of each profession we need in order for society to function properly. Then I would train and hire that many professionals just so society would function properly. It should be that simple. An argument against my idea would be, what incentive would people have to be the best they could be if they could get the minimum standard of life by being something like a cleaner? Very good point. This is where it comes down to the responsibility of the individual to strive to be the best they can be for not only themselves but society as a whole. Some people are not blessed with intelligence or any special skills, but that does not mean they deserve to struggle and be poor, hence the minimum standard of life. But others are blessed with intelligence and special skills, and it is their responsibility to utilise this. However, I agree that may not be incentive enough, so I will make it that different jobs give you access to different classes. In today's world, we have working class, middle class and upper class, where the difference is monumental, causing rife and jealousy, which in turn creates crime and an unpleasant world to live in. In my system, all the classes will have a high standard of life, but the upper classes will have some benefits. I'm sure a window cleaner who happily lives the minimum standard of life will not begrudge someone who trains hard to be a brain surgeon just because they get a little bit more. When I say a little bit more, I mean a slightly bigger house, a slightly bigger garden, shorter waiting times for train tickets, first dibs on tickets to see Justin Bieber, things like that. Being a painter and decorator myself, it would not bother me in the slightest that a scientist has a bigger swimming pool than me because my swimming pool would still be big enough. We all have a responsibility to be the best we can be for ourselves and our fellow human beings, and and this will be taught at schools. Children will be taught how incredible life is, how everybody is connected, and what we can achieve if we all strive to be the best and push in the same direction. I wasn't taught this at school, and I doubt you were too, and just look at the state of the world. So far, I have implemented a system that has eradicated poverty, reduced the crime rate, made people happy, made the streets look artistic and beautiful, and taught people that everybody is connected. Is there anything else I would do? Yes! I would ensure that technology did as many of the mundane and shit jobs as possible, meaning more free time for people to focus on things that actually matter. It's almost like in today's world, certain jobs are created just so someone has something to do so they can earn some money. Do we really need supermarket cashiers anymore going beep beep beep? Is that not a massive waste of somebody's time? Let's utilise technology so our supermarket cashiers can take up painting landscapes with watercolours instead. At the end of the day, you're probably thinking to yourself that my system will never work. And unfortunately, I'd have to agree with you due to the extent of the damage that our leaders have already done. Collectively, we are so brainwashed and distracted from the truth that we don't even realise our experience on this earth is being ruined. We have just accepted this as life. Why do you think so many people have to take antidepressants? Something is not right. This is not how life is meant to be. Life on earth has the potential to be absolutely amazing for everybody. Nobody has to unnecessarily suffer. The planet has provided enough space and resources for everybody, and yet millions of people go without. Ask yourself, why is that? The worst standard of life anybody should have to experience should be the minimum standard of life. Imagine how good that would be if that was the case. Other people's suffering brings me down. I hate seeing homeless people. I do not understand how billionaires can live with themselves. Does others' suffering not affect them? What happens when they see a WaterAid advert? Do they not get a horrible pain in the chest? They obviously do not give a shit. Evil is prevailing, but I am certain the majority of human souls are good and humanity deserves better. There is another way we should be living, and the sooner the people realise this, the sooner people will stop accepting the way things are. Nobody deserves to be born just to suffer, and yet millions of people each day go without food, shelter and water, while one person is allowed to sit on billions of pounds. Money creates crime, voids common sense and makes you fall out with your best mate. Money is evil, and I'm telling you, the world would be much better off without it.